Bezat Hashem, we're back at Limud Shulchan Aruch Shabbat Reish Mem Bet, continuing in Mishnah Berurah Sif Katan Gimel. Today is the 17th of the Tammuz, Tuesday, the third day of the week of Parashat Shabbat, Parashat Pinchas. Bezat Hashem, we're going to go into the Shulchan Aruch Mishnah Berurah right away. Sif Katan Gimel, the Mishnah Hasha'a Dachukalo, right? So we said like this in Halacha that what's the Rebriyot? לא אמרו עשה שבתך חול ואל תתר לבריות, אלא מי ששעה דחוקה לו. So the question is, when the Shulchan Aruch said, I was reading the Shulchan Aruch, when he said that a person should not rely on people for handouts, but should eat macaroni on Shabbat, right, and not enjoy Shabbat, so what is that for? If you're telling me that a poor person has to go and take enough money to make a beautiful meal, so what's this halakha? Right? So that was only said for a person. We said the Shulchan Aruch says only a one-time deal for one or a two-time deal, whatever it is, a rich man who is suffering right now a little bit. We don't tell him go back for food for Shabbat. Tell him to eat macaroni and sustain 1 or 2 weeks till he gets his business in order, and then eat normally. But that was only for him. But the poor people who are constantly on a payroll of charity, they should not do that. Okay? So now Mishnah Berurah explains, למי שהשעה דחוקה לו, what does that mean? ומאירי כשאין לו משכנות ללוות עליהם ולא משכון, אין יכול להשיג, ילבחי צריך ללוות כדי שלא ילבטל מצוות עונש שבת, כמו שאמרו חז"ל, שאומר הקדוש ברוך הוא, בניי ליוו עליי ואני פורע. Over there, right? So he has no ability. What he's telling, the rabbi is telling us here, where he has no ability, this rich man that went broke, and everything right by him is tight. He ain't got nowhere right now to put a collateral or to borrow money to live. You know where we are? Okay? So in that case, we tell him, make your Shabbat chol, just to survive, to pass by. And don't forget, also, there's an element by a rich man, if Chas v'Shalom, he's going to go and ask money for charity, for food, for Shabbat, he's even going to be more broken. He's going to say, look at the level that he got to. Chas v'Shalom. Okay, Dalet, so they should never say no such things. So, Siv Katan Dalet. Kedei lechabed et Shabbat, what does that mean? So we said over there, a poor person, throughout the whole week, he should eat macaroni and water, in order to buy on Shabbat a piece of steak with fish. כדי לכבד את השבת, and that's how he's out in Shabbat, בזמנות, במזונות של שבת, ויום טוב, מוסיפים לו. Meaning, the more you expend on Shabbat, preparing for Shabbat, the more expenses you have on Shabbat, the more you add, the more will be added back to you. Okay? And always tenfold, right? So Shabbat, the guy spends Shabbat $1,000. He has to know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will pay back to him $10,000. However, whenever it's needed. Not like, Motzei Shabbat, I'm going to earn $10,000 right now. No, it doesn't work like that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu reserves the sachar for later. The reward will be there, but you should know, nevertheless, you will get it back. Well, how? You see all of a sudden people buy houses, people buy beautiful cars. What is all that from? That is because they're spending on Shabbat. The more they put into it, the more they get back. כמו שאמרו חז"ל, כל מזונותיו של אדם קצובים לו מראש השנה ועד ראש השנה. The person's sustenance throughout the whole year is already determined before by ראש השנה till ראש השנה. ויש להיזהר שלא יוסיף בהן פן לא קצבו לו כל כך. Right? And the person should be very careful not to spend more throughout the whole year, not to take more on himself, because maybe they didn't give, they decreed on him that he's going to have enough money. So he'll get broke. חוץ מהוצאות שבת ויום טוב והוצאות בניו לתלמוד תורה. Except, what should a person take more on himself? Buy more delicacies for Shabbat and spend more money on the learning of your children, on Torah. There you could expend as much as you want. Meaning it's above your budget. Right? So what happens like this? A person is to buy a car, to buy a house, you may be very careful. So the rabbi says, be very careful, right? Maybe this whole thing of credit is a bad thing. That we have credit, we never take credit. If you don't have, you don't have. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Rent us? That's what you have to rent. You have rent. Don't worry about it. Why go into expenditure of buying? and get into big debt, that could be a problem. That could be detrimental for a person. Right? The person could go broke and he's going to suffer. So because maybe Hashem is not on his side to give him more. Who said? So therefore there you should not spend unless, which is the mundane things, unless, what does he say? He says, listen, Ribono Shel Olam, you know what happens? If I buy this car, right, I buy this functioning car, this car I could do more mitzvot, give it out to people, do Kinyot Shabbat. I could go to a supermarket, I could drive further, for my, I could drive my kids to the school. Now he's already different talk.
Yeah.
Be a partner. Yeah. Be a partner everything. Anything you buy. You know why I'm buying a house in Berurah Shalom? To do Achnasat Orchim, to do Chesed, to host people, to do Kiruf people, to mitkarev people to use Hashem. Now you're expanding for Hashem. That could be, it's not part of the expenditure. Because remember, Hashem said from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, this is your expenses. That's it. So anything else, people are suffering. People have heart attacks. Why? Because they take on themselves more suffering and they can't pay for it. And now they're blaming Hashem. Hashem says, who told you how to do it? I didn't tell you to do it. If you have a bank account, you go buy. If you don't have a bank account, don't buy. Who told you to expend yourself, to borrow? But what you are allowed to borrow, for Shabbat. For Shabbat, everything that you spend, you're going to get back tenfold. Okay? חוץ מהוצאת שבת ויום טוב והוצאת טוב והצעות בניו לתלמוד תורה, שאם מוסיפין לו, the other things more than that. If you're just doing what's his name? If you're expending, you want to buy stuff, let's say clothing or cars and all those things, a house, whatever it is, just for your physical pleasure because you like it. Without, I'm talking about credit. I'm not talking about cash. Cash you have, you could buy whatever you want. Nobody is allowed to tell you what you're allowed to buy when you're allowed to buy. As long as it's not against halakha, it's not taref, it's not pasul, you could buy it. You want to buy what's his name? If you have enough money, you want to buy a rocket ship to go to the Shamayim, do it. If that's how crazy you are, do it. If that's what you want, if you have the money. We're talking about here specifically credit. Extending yourself more than you have. So the rabbi says, be very careful, because who says HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give you to pay it up? So that's what we're talking about. But when it comes to Shabbat and Talmud Torah, there you borrow, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will cover. So all those wise guys who send their children to yeshivas, and they say, and they're not paying the tuition bills. Soon by you're going to have to pay tuition soon, very soon. Now, imagine yourself, I can't make tuition. Yeah, you can't make tuition? Sure. It's not part of your salary. It's not part of your salary. Tuition is not part of your salary. Talmud Torah, for your children to learn, Hashem will provide it. It's a Hashem problem. Okay? Shabbat, Seudot Shabbat, same thing. Go ahead, borrow even money, put it on collateral. You have Sfarim, put Sfarim in collateral. But Shabbat has to be Tanuk. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will compromise, will send you back what you need to cover that. Okay? שאם מוסיף ומוסיפין לו, לובין בריבית לצורך סעודת שבת. You there? That small little Yudalet? Lovin? Lovin, yeah. You see that small little Yudalet? Small Yudalet. That's a Yud Gimel Yudalet. We're still in Dalet. In the middle of Dalet. Dalet Yudalet. Yeah. Small little Dalet.
Okay.
Lovin beribit letzorech Seudat Shabbat or Seudat Mitzvah. You're allowed to take with interest. Yeah, last year we made a siyum. I borrowed money. I didn't even know how I paid it off. I thought people were going to bring money, nothing. It cost me, out of my pocket, I put out like $5,000 in the end. And people didn't bring money, it was whatever, a big bust. But it was Seudat Mitzvah. Yeah. Hashem says, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. And it was taken care of, Baruch Hashem. I didn't even know how. Baruch Hashem. Says, I'll take care of that. Seudat Shabbat, Seudat Mitzvah. V'hainu me'enu Yehudi o me'Yisrael b'derech ha'eter. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it says you're allowed to even borrow from a Jew. Forget about a Goy. Goy we know, you have the credit cards, right? All those things. But from a Jew you are allowed to even borrow, even with repeat, with interest, derech heter, obviously derech heter iska, in order to buy for Shabbat Seudah properly. 3 here, the rabbi adds over here. I'm reading now, Kaf HaChaim. Put your finger there, don't move it. V'chen, Pasaka Kaf HaChaim. So the rabbi says over here, Mazliach adds, Chaim also said that you're allowed to borrow with ribit with interest from the Jew. אולם בלוויית חן כתב שהמתיר ללוות על כל פנים בריבית דרבנן לצורך סעודת שבת ויום טוב לא משתבט. Whoever says you're allowed to borrow from a Jew with interest doesn't sound good according to Rabbi Leviat Chen. There's a sefer called Leviat Chen. To borrow with interest from a Jew, it's not good. ויש לו על מה שיסמוך, עיין שם באורח. וכן, even though he has what to rely, it still is not the best thing. וכן פסק הגרז, בספר מלווה, פסק להחמיר גם בריבית רבנן. No, says you shouldn't even borrow from a Jew with רבנן interest. עיין שם טעמו. ומכל מקום, לכתחילה, יש ללמוד בדרך היתר, כמו שכתב המשנה ברורה. So the best thing you could borrow, I'm not reading there, I'm reading in Ish Mazliach. That you could borrow from a Jew with interest for Shabbat, as Mishnah Berurah says, כגון, שיכתוב בשטר שהכל נעשה על פי היתר עסקה. So you should write in a contract that everything's done according to the היתר עסקה, the business permission. היינו, אם יש לו הסכונות בבנק וכדומה, ואינו רוצה לשבור אותם, יש אומרים שזה נחשב כהיתר עסקה. So he says if he has something to put on for it, like, let's say he has CD deposits in the bank that he cannot take out, but he now needs money for Shabbat, so you don't have to break them out, because if you take those out, you're going to lose a lot of money. There's fine penalties and everything, right? Take them out too early. אבל אם אין לו הסכונות והוא לווה ואוכל לסעודת שבת, יום טוב אין כאן עסקה כלולה, הוא פשוט, right? ומקומו לספר לא תחשיך בהערה שבסוף, okay, so he says, you're allowed to borrow, מחילה יש לנו עוד 3 דקות חביב, אנחנו פה, תן לו שיחכה, 2 דקות. אם שלחו לו דבר מאכל שיאכלנו בשבת, continue, מה, it's not 8 o'clock yet. 2 more minutes, חביב, תן לו. That's nice. אם שלחו לו דבר מאכל שיאכלנו בשבת, somebody sent you something to eat on Shabbat, לא יאכלנו בחול. Right? You should not be eating it during home. Somebody sent you to eat for Shabbat, a gift. Wait for Shabbat for it. We're talking about that poor person. כן כתב בספר הסידים, ועיין לקמן בסימן הזה, דעת השולחן ערוך שם, דהעני יכול לשנות במגבעת פורים למה שירצה, אף דגבו לצורך פורים. אכן גם שם יש מחמירים בזה, עיין, okay, so what about Purim? Poor people get a lot of Purim all of a sudden. So he says maybe it's given only for Purim. The rabbi says over there, no, he's allowed to eat whatever he needs now for Purim, but leave the rest for Oneg Shabbat, even though the person said it specifically just for Purim. Today most people don't care when you eat it. They send it to you, you decide when to eat it. You could eat it now, you could eat it in Purim, you could eat it a year later also, put it in the freezer.
No, but doesn't the person fulfill the mitzvah if the person doesn't eat?
No, there's no such a thing. You fulfill the mitzvah. The moment that you gave it to your friend, whatever he does with it, it's his business. Usually today it's a shuffle.
Yeah.
Shuffle business. What do I do not to be shuffle business? What do I do? Shuffle business. Shuffle, yeah, he goes there, he goes to him. You know, the people take off the tag. Purim, it's Purim. Everything's mishkabubal. So what I do, I give out baked gosh gaja or something, or cooked something. That's nobody shuffling. He says he sees this, I'm eating it right now. Have a good day, Zod Hashem.